Okay, I'm going to shift gears again and go a little more currently. I heard that you turned down the offer to play with the Rolling Stones to play in Living Color.
Well, in a sense, that's an interesting story. Here's how that one goes. Basically, Living Color and the Rolling Stones are kind of like this whole hand-in-hand kind of thing.
Yeah, Mick produced your first record, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, how that went down was this. I was working with Arthur Baker.
Okay.
You know, he was doing a lot of DJ remixing stuff for everybody back in the 80s. He was the man. And through Arthur, I met Jeff Beck. And you know, me and Jeff hooked up at Electric Ladyland Studios. Next thing you know, Jeff's like, "Would you like to come to London for a gathering? We're gonna do, you know, want to do some more stuff."
Did
Went
he say
to
it like
London.
that? Did he go like this?
Actually, his manager did. But me and Jeff hooked up. We became really, really tight, you know. And we have a great vibe playing together. And Jeff really dug me. I mean, really a lot. So when I worked with Jeff, it was me, Jeff, Jan Hammer, and Simon Phillips. We did a tour. That tour stopped, and then Jeff was asked to do Mick Jagger's record. So Mick was doing another record, another tour. So Jeff was like, well, I'd like to get Doug involved in Simon. So anyway, I ended up having to audition anyway, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny because at the audition, they auditioned 45 different bass players, and they're also auditioning guitar players and drummers and blah, 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 blah. Well, I got the gig. But at that audition was Vernon Reid. Vernon was at the audition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh yeah, he was there. Living Color was together, but he was auditioning for Mick's band as well. You know, it was a big audition.
I can't see Vernon Reid playing the Rolling Stones.
There you go. Well, this was with Mick Jagger. This leads into the Rolling Stones stuff. So anyway, what happened was I ended up getting the gig with Mick. And when I got the gig with Mick, Living Color was playing around town. And I've known Vernon for a while. Anyway, you know, Mick is a really cool cat. You know, all you have to do is mention something to him one time and don't say anything else, because he's registering what's happening. So one time we were all sitting down, and he was like, you know, I was like, Mick, you know, check this out. You're busting out a lot of blues cats, man. It's great. You should check this band out, Living Color, some of my mates. And they were playing around town. And I'm the kind of guy, I had my own band, Tackhead, but I knew Living Color was like doing some stuff. And I'm like, you know, Mick would be interested in checking them out, because Tackhead was so off the cuff and terrorized him. So anyway, to make a long story short, lo and behold, Mick, we ended up going to the gig, checking Living Color out. And he said, Dougie, I really like that band. Let me do something with them. So while we were doing Mick's record during the week, on the weekends, he started to bring Living Color into the studio and record their record. That's how they got in the studio and got to play.
No, that ties into the next question too about you know, Living Color and stuff.
So just to finish this off, so what happened was I ended up doing Mick Jagger tour, and then it's funny because while I was doing that tour, the tour finished, blah, 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 and then after that, Mick was getting ready to do another record. And I started working with Mick at his chateau in France. And Charlie Watts was coming over to do some drumming. And Charlie hadn't been playing in a while. So it was great because I got a chance to work with Charlie. And we sat around and worked, and, you know, I started working Charlie back into the groove. We started grooving. Next thing you know, it was mad tight. So next thing you know, the Stones are getting ready to get back together, you know what I mean? So they did their tour with Bill Wyman, then Bill left the band. And then they were like, well, we're looking for a bass player. So it's funny because Mick really wanted me to do that gig, but it was interesting. Mick also recommended, you know, when Living Color actually got rid of Muzzy, you know, Mick was like, you know, Dougie, this would be a good gig for you. He's like, you should hook up with Living Color. Lo and behold, Will comes to London, says, yo, man, you know, we're auditioning bass players, would you want to check it out? And it's funny because I got a call from 3 people in that week. And they say things happen in threes. I got a call from Bruce Springsteen, Seal, and Living Color all in the same week.
Wow.
It all wanted me to do the stuff. Seal wanted me to be.
You must be pretty good.
Seal wanted me to be his MD. He said, you got the gig, but I had to audition for Living Color. That's the funny thing. Bruce Springsteen was another thing, so I was like, you know what? Will called me first. I always go with whoever contacts me first, you know what I mean? So I went to New York, did the audition. Came back, boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, I'm in Living Color. So we do it, the Stain record. Right at the end of the Stain tour, one of the last tours when we were in Australia, the Stones are about to get back together again. You know? Next thing you know, it's like Mick's calling me up, and he's like, Dougie, what are you doing? So next thing you know, I'm like,
doing what you told me to, Mick.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm doing basically like that. He says, well, you know, we're looking for a bass player. So why don't you come on over to Ireland? And it's funny because I already did Ronnie Wood's record. I was working with Charlie Watts. And I did mix solo records. So next thing you know, they had already auditioned a bunch of different, they auditioned everybody. And then they flew me over to Ronnie Wood's house in Ireland. The next thing you know, I'm there. And it wasn't even an audition. Half an hour later, we're in the studio cutting records, cutting, recording. It wasn't really an audition.
Right.
We just started recording. I already been recording with Woody. I had my amplifier there from the last session and stuff. So
just
next
seamless.
thing you know, it's like, so Dougie, we're going to be doing, they called me up and said, we want you to do, you got the gig. I said, well, Mick, we have an Australian tour with Living Color coming up. And when's, he said, well, how much is the tour paying y'all? He was gonna pay, honestly, he was gonna pay the whole band to not do the tour, to use me. And I was like, oh man, this is deep.
Yeah.
So then,
yeah, that's gotta be kind of difficult handling situations like that. So I'm sure that kind of, that magnitude, obviously,
you know what it was?
Imagine,
it was just timing. It's like, I just joined the band. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be like a revolving door kind of situation. But it's funny how things go, because it's like, I was like, well, Mick, you should. It's a deep one. So it's funny how lo and behold, I was like, maybe you ought to give Vernon a call just to talk to him about that. And funny, that was my biggest mistake at that point, because Vernon then led Mick to believe that we were going to go back in the studio and do some stuff. Meanwhile, he broke the band up right after that.
Oh, okay.
So that's what happened. So next thing you know, I'm like, so
how are you
that's
again?
the honest God truth. That's exactly what. But what happened was we ended up doing the Australian tour, and their schedule was like, we have to do this record now, and I was in a real tight situation. I didn't want to leave the band right then. I just got in the band.
Yeah, and you don't want to burn bridges anyway.
You don't want to burn
that's a
bridges,
big
but
thing.
it was funny because I wish Vernon would have been a little more honest with what was going on and just said, hey man, I'm going to break the band up. I'd have been with the Stones, but the timing of how everything was going, it just didn't work out. So I got caught up in the timing situation.
Yeah.
But if it would have been if that Australian tour didn't happen, I'd have been with the Stones.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like now, since Living Color's reformed and stuff, I've actually seen you guys in LA and stuff. It seems like Living Color really gives you an opportunity to spread your wings, probably more than you would have gotten to if you went with the Rolling Stones or with Bruce Springsteen.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the key. It's like,
you seem pretty happy doing that.
I love working with everybody, But I think in any situation, you have to look at what's going on, the value of your time, and the value of your input. And I'm a creative bass player in a sense.
Definitely.
I don't like to say it, but I have a lot of different.
Do you want me to say it for you?
No, I have a lot of different things that I try to bring to any situation, and I love playing with the Stones, man. I would have brought that same vibe to them, played the role, and did whatever.
Maybe it's just
Mick was
hard
always
to picture.
cool.
I mean, I'm sure you'd fit right in. It's not that. Seeing you in Living Color, it's so explosive, and it's like, you got your guitar over your head and you're throwing stuff, and well, maybe you're not doing that, but you know what I mean?
It's funny how things are, but I don't regret anything, man. I've done so many things, and I'm so blessed to have done these things that, some things are hard, and you just say, oh man, that's the one thing, but you know what? Life's like that sometimes. But you have to be true to yourself first.
Always
get what you want. But I'm still working with Mick. I've done his solo records. I played on the Bridges to Babylon. I've done some things, so they've kept me in their mind. And it's timing. Anything a lot of things you deal with is timing, but you got to be real to yourself. There's a lot of people that will jump, do backflips, change their whole mechanism, everything. They'll change up just to do something. And I think it's important to be clear to yourself first, because everything has a beginning and an end, And in the reality of it is, in this situation, I think I'm fortunate to be doing what I'm doing right now with Living Color.
That's awesome,
happy.
man.